relationship addicts, are you addicted to toxic relationships? That is a big question. And is it possible for people to be a relationship addict? They just want to be just to be with somebody, just to be with somebody. And I think we need to talk about that. We know for a fact, far as with addictions and addictive behavior, people can be sex addicts. But is it possible, Dr. Holt? Is it really possible for people to be addicted to toxic relationships? And unfortunately, I have to give you the bad news. And the bad news is yes, it is possible for people to be addicted to toxic relationships. They are a toxic relationship addict. They are just addicted to just being with people. And we're going to be talking about that and what are the signs that we should be looking for. Because possibly you might be one of them, or possibly you know someone who is a toxic relationship addict. And so help, Dr. Holt, help. We need the good doctor to help us in this space when it comes to being addicted to a toxic relationship addict, just an addict, just like any other addict. Yeah, just addicted to just having people in my space, whether if it's healthy, whether if it's loving, whether if it's caring, it doesn't matter. I hate being by myself. I got to be with somebody. So this is a little deep because a lot of times, people don't want you being in a business, right? Well, you can't be a better version of yourself if you don't diagnose and figure out what in the world is going on. There's a reason why you see a woman that has back-to-back relationships. Have you seen somebody like that? I mean, once they out of relationship, you give them a few days, a few weeks, they in another relationship. And then that relationship may last 9 months to a year and a half, and then something happened with that relationship. Guess what? They have found Willie, and they have found Joey, and they have found Jose, and they have found Michael. And within 2 years, they have been in 9 relationships. Come on, man. That's not healthy. That might be culture. That might look dope. Like we may think that may be hot to people, but that's dysfunction. Let me tell you right now, that's dysfunction. If you have had all these partners and all these people in your personal and romantic space, and it's back to back to back to back to back, and you have never taken any real time to self-reflect, in real time to do some deep diving about yourself, and the other thing is heal, then you're just bleeding on everybody. And these are signs of people who are addicted to just being in relationships, even toxic relationships, which means that you have a difficult time being by yourself. You have a difficult time being alone. And soon as you get out of one relationship, you're on to the next one. Now, I'm not saying don't fall in love. I'm not saying find a significant other. I really believe that's the plan of God, how it works. But you do at some point have to look at dysfunction and look at things that are not healthy. And it is not healthy for a person to be in one relationship and then you break up, and within a short amount of time, you're in a whole full-blown relationship all over again. You didn't get time to self-reflect. You didn't get time to grieve. You didn't get time to heal, and you most definitely didn't get time to learn from that relationship. So guess what happens? You take all that baggage, all that drama, all that trauma, all that disorder, all that dysfunction, and you take it to the next relationship. And then you just keep repeating the same habits over and over and over and over. Now, this is what eventually is going to happen. What you fail to realize is that there's something that's going on deeper in your body, deeper in your mind, in your soul, and in your spirit. That there's something what we call that there's sexual bonds that's taking place, and we've been knowing that biblically and spiritually, but scientifically, with dopamines and oxytocin levels are released in the brain. The dopamines give you pleasure. Oxytocin makes the affection bonding when you're with someone, right? And so what happens is if you keep having all of these different partners, you're giving pieces away of yourself. And these people are now in your spirit because of those type of bondings. This stuff is real, and so this is the reason why we got to be careful. Like we say in the streets, how high is your body count? You guys know what I mean. We say body count, right? How many people, how many partners you've been with, right? How many? There's a time you have to slow down, and you need to do some self reflecting, and you need to learn from your last relationship. And then sometimes you really can't heal if you're all over the place. Same way with brothers. Brothers, all over the place and this and this and that. Listen, all that stuff gonna catch up with you. Sometimes we just got to have one girl, then go to the next girl, and then go to the next girl, go to the next woman, go to the next woman, go to the next woman, and within 2 years, your body count is too high. It's crazy, right? And that's not normal. Okay, a lot of times those are behaviors. I'm going to root causes now of unresolved trauma, right? That's the reason why it drives us crazy to be alone. But so let me speak into this space too, because y'all think y'all slick. Some people say, well, I ain't been in a relationship, in 3 or 5 years. But you're really saying is I haven't had the title of relationship. But even though you haven't had the title of relationship, you have been through 12 men. You have had 21 women, right? So even though you haven't had the title of relationship, you say, I've been single for 3 years. You ain't really been single. You've been tied up and tangled up with all these different people, and your body count is all over the place because you don't know how to be single and be by yourself and heal. So you're addicted. When I say relationship addicts, when we don't heal from our traumas and we have been traumatized or we've been abused or we've been sexually assaulted or, and all of these traumas sometimes give you intimacy issues to where you don't know how to build attachments, or it's reverse. It makes you hypersexual and you are just all over the place, because of you didn't never heal from the trauma of what happened to you in the past. So some people are hypersexual, not because they wanted to, but because maybe some traumatic experiences happened to you. Because it's not my job to judge. My job is to bring healing. But what I want to do is help shed light. Why am I like this? Why that I just got to be with somebody, even if they abuse me, even if they are, even if they're maladaptive, even if they're toxic, even if they're poisonous, even if they're negative, they're all of these different things. What is in me where I just feel like I just gotta just be with people and be hypersexual? It's coming back from your trauma that you didn't heal from. And because you didn't heal from it, you want to keep people in that you want to put people in that void that you're missing. And you're really looking for help. You're really looking for love. And what we using as lust, we really want real intimacy. But because we haven't healed from our brokenness, our traumas make us detach into far as intimacy, and it makes us hypersexual. So we just got to constantly just be with all kind of people and not dealing with our traumas. This is why being alone sometimes is really really difficult, because we have never addressed a lot of the pain and brokenness of our trauma of our childhood. So if we be alone, then that's a lot of time. We got to really start thinking about what happened to us. We got to start having that alone time to start self-reflection on that abuse that took place. We got to start thinking about, as we are alone, we got to think about the traumatic experience that may happen to us. So instead of dealing with the traumas, I just keep filling people in my empty space. And this is the thing. Now, regardless of how you think about faith and all of that, and I'm not going to force my theology on you, but there's only a certain space in your life that only God can fill. There's only a certain space. I mean, I'm just going to tell you, there's a spiritual part to you that no matter how much excitement, how much pleasure, how much sex, how much drugs, all of that empty space, only God can fill. Only your creator can feel. That's just what it is. That's that spiritual part of us. So we can be relationship addicts going from one person to one person to one person because we don't know how to be alone and we don't know how to self-reflect. But at the end of the day, there's only one total fulfillment and satisfaction that's going to come out of that. And only God can feel that. See, the thing about it is a person could never make you happy. Really, when you get with people, it's because you're sharing happiness. You have happiness, that person have happiness, and y'all share y'all happiness. But you can't be empty because of a void that's missing because of some trauma that you didn't identify. Because all you're going to keep doing, whether you male or female, is keep putting people in these empty spaces thinking you're going to get something. And after a while, it's all going to dry out because the only person really that could fill that space is your creator, which is God. I know there's some deep stuff, but we see it all the time where, when people come into therapy, they don't deal with their traumas. Some people are sitting right now in an abusive relationship because they won't deal with their trauma. They won't heal. So they settle being addicted to a toxic relationship, which is, again, when we talk about addiction to a relationship, we talk about people are addicted to just have somebody in a relationship when they know there's no doggone reason they should be with them, right? So at some point, we got to self-reflect. We got to start growing, dealing with our own dysfunctions, our own demons, and our own disorders so that we can bring healing to our soul and spirit, and which would eventually bring healing to our mind and our emotions, and we can start being fulfilled within ourselves. Because once you start being fulfilled in yourself, once you start healing from your brokenness, there's no way Slick Willie is going to come in your life. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, right? Usually Slick Willie come in your life when your emotional intelligence is very low, right? And your vulnerability is really low. And when your vulnerability is low, you got all these cracks and crevices, and any snake can slither into your life. But the more you begin to heal those cracks and crevices, you began to be, you have now this protective shield that just know any joker can come into your life, and just know any chick can come into your life and bring toxicity into your life. So the better healed version you are, the higher your standards are as well. Have you noticed when you're broken and you're vulnerable, your standards are low. You would just take anybody just so that you don't have to deal with what you're dealing with by yourself, even if it's not healthy. But when you began to really heal and you began to grow, the reason why you can't be with Slick Willie no more is because your whole taste and your whole level of attraction now is different because you are more of a whole person. So I just want to spend some time just talking about people who are addicted to toxic relationships, people who just want to just put people into their space, no matter if they're good, no matter if they're healthy. Some people really struggle with being alone. People don't know how to cope with being alone. This is another danger too. When you don't know how to be alone, you really don't know who you are. And when you don't know who you really are, you take all kind of stuff and you end up wasting a lot of time. You end up wasting a lot of years. You end up wasting all of your energy, all just because of the fact we don't know how to be alone. Being alone is not so bad. Matter of fact, being alone is really what helps us to self-reflect, helps us to grow, helps us to learn from our mistakes. And so everybody need that time. You don't need to be in back-to-back different type of relationships when you have not really began to know who you are and take the time to heal from your past and heal from your traumas and know what you want out of life. The best time really to really show a lot of development is when you spend a lot of time alone figuring out your life, self-reflecting over your mistakes, determining what your purpose is, because that's what's going to help you as well when you talk about you actually want to be with someone, is knowing your purpose, because your purpose really helps you to identify, is this person in alignment with where I'm going? So you got to do those things to make sure that you're pouring back into yourself. So let's recap. I'm not saying people are not to be in relationship, because that's how God made it. That's how we are. That's how we get in relationships. We find the person we love. We get married. We have children. We build our family. That's how it works. But just because you are attracted to somebody or you feel you love somebody doesn't mean that person is right for you. It doesn't mean that this person should be part of your destiny. It doesn't mean this person is in alignment with the purpose that God has put on your life. And sometimes being alone is the best time and season in your life to decide what that's going to look like. So I close saying, um, continue to have hope and love. I still believe in the power of love. Tina Turner said, "What's love got to do with it?" Love has everything to do with it. But just self reflect, knowing it's okay to be alone. I know there's a lot of pressure um, in the community, in culture, and yes, even church. People think you're an oddball. People think something's wrong with you being alone and being single. No, being single is a great time for you to build your relationship with God. Is a great time to self-reflect on what your purpose, what your destiny is. It's this may be another segment, but when you are really broke and you don't have no income coming in, dating should be the last thing on your mind. You should be working on you, working on your career, working on creating streams of income. Because one day when you start dating, you're gonna have to spend some money on that woman that you love. You're gonna need some bread. So there's other kind of priorities we should be working on. Going back to school, getting your education, doing these things while you're single, while you're alone. So when you finally meet somebody, you can bring something to the table. There's nothing wrong with being single. Singleness really is probably going to be some of your best days in your life, because it helps you build yourself as a man and build yourself as a woman. You ain't got to be out here, over here doing this and doing that, dating this and dating that. Listen, work on you. Get your money right. Get your mind right. Get your emotions right. So when you finally meet somebody, now y'all can share something together and both of y'all can be healthy. So I'm closing out. Listen, I still believe in this thing called relationships. I just want you to be healthy when you do it. I want you to be whole when you do it. I want you to have some money when you do it. Get your credit right, right? Yeah, all these things you could be doing, working on yourself in your singleness, so that when you finally meet somebody, you be more of a better version of yourself. So I hope this helps somebody. I hope you enjoyed this segment. But let's not be addicted to toxic relationships. Let's look at hope on having healthy relationships and not toxic relationships. And it's okay to be alone for a while. All right. What we really call loneliness, really what I call solitude, right? Really discovering your purpose and all of those things. All those things are going to be important as far as you moving forward. So let's break the habits of being a toxic relationship addict. Let's believe in ourselves. Let's self discover. Let's self reflect. And I believe everything is going to be all right. Thank you. This is Dr. Holt, the Unbreakable Show.